There's something happening every week. Is there something happening at school? And she said, no. And he said, no, everything's fine, Mom. She called his teacher, and she says, should I be aware of something that's going on with my son, Timmy? She said, no, Timmy's very well disciplined. He's a good student. I do not see any problems that are happening. This continued on to the point that Timmy would scream in the morning when she tried to get him ready because he said that he felt so badly. She took him to the doctor. The doctor checked him out, and he checked out A-OK. So she continued, and she was very worried about her son. Until one day, she went to Mother's Day out, and her mother walked up to her and said, you're Timmy's mother. My son keeps talking about Timmy that is getting bullied by a fifth grader. His lunch money is taken. He's pushed into the locker. His possessions are knocked out of his hands. And that your son is very scared of this bullying. And the mom knew, oh my gosh, this is what's going on. In our country today, there are 160,000 kids in this school on a daily basis for fear of intimidation, harassment, and other bullying behaviors. How many of you have a middle school student or a student, or you work with middle school students? Raise your hand. Some of you will relate to this particular person. Her name is Maria, and she's in 6th grade. Maria grew up with the same group of girls. They were in a clique. In that clique, there's a queen bee. And you know who the queen bee is? The queen bee is the one that says, you're in, you're out, you need to wear your hair in a ponytail tomorrow. We're going to all wear jeans on Wednesday. Because I am the queen bee, and you do what I say. The queen bee decided that she did not want Maria in the group anymore because Maria was getting a lot of attention from the boys. So here's what she said. Tomorrow, girls, first of all, she sent a text, and then she told them, when Maria comes to sit down with us at our table, don't let Maria sit with us. She's not in our group anymore. When Maria came to sit down with her cafeteria tray, she started to sit down, and the two girls squished together, and she couldn't sit down. She started laughing. Come on, come on. That was very funny. And she moved to the right. She tried again to sit down. She could not sit down. They wouldn't let her. She was laughing. She goes, I'm really hungry. Come on. Come on. And then she noticed that all their faces, and no one was laughing. That was the beginning of the end of this particular group for Maria. This particular group totally, completely separated themselves from her. They did not return her emails or her texts. She was not invited to their parties. They did not talk to her at school. She was devastated, because these are the same girls that she went to summer camp with. These are the same girls that her parents knew also, and that her parents hung out together. But she was excluded from this group. This particular story is a true story. Maria ended up dropping out of school and being homeschooled by her mother. What is this called? This is called a relational aggression. This is girls deciding who's in and who's out. How many of you have a high school student or you work with high school students? Some of you saw this on CNN News. This is a story of a girl named Ashley who's a freshman. She went to a sleepover, and at that sleepover, the girls took nude pictures on their cell phone camera of each other. It's a very popular phenomenon happening with our kids. They thought it was very fun. The next week, Ashley got really angry at two of the girls that had gone to the summer party. What did she do? She forwarded two of their nude pictures to the captain of the football team. Now, he was pretty excited about this. He thought this was pretty awesome. So then he forwarded the two nude girls to every member of the varsity team, the junior varsity team, and the freshman team. Do you think this caused havoc at the school? Yes. Because this is a legal issue. It deals with child pornography. Did you know that the freshman girl, Ashley, was charged with possession and dissemination of child pornography? The student who received that first picture, 2 pictures, and disseminated it, he was not only charged with dissemination and possession of child pornography, he has to register as a sex offender for the rest of his life. In the state of Texas, there is no gray. If you have nude pictures on your cell phone, or you've taken pictures of kids underage, you can be cited for child pornography. Now kids tell me, well, Mrs. Love, I get pictures, and I can't help it if someone sends me a picture. Here's what the law, this is the jurisdiction of this particular law, is that you may receive a sexting message, a really inappropriate picture. You have 4 hours to do something about it. Either talk to another adult, forward it to an adult, or to actually just delete it. The FBI can go in and determine what time you got that picture. So our kids think it's funny, and it's a form of bullying. Kids taking pictures of each other in locker rooms. Kids taking pictures of each other when kids are at home and dressing, and then forwarding these. Kids taking pictures of boyfriends and girlfriends and forwarding these pictures. It's important that we teach our kids that this is considered a crime. And it's called sexting, a form of digital bullying. The other student I want to talk about is a student, it's a high school junior. His name is Charles. He's very quiet. His parents said to him, Charles, you can invite 2 friends over for your birthday. We're going to have a pizza party. He didn't have a lot of friends, so he invited 2 of his neighbor friends over. They came over, they had pizza, they rented movies, they watched John Travolta's Saturday Night Fever, they watched Dirty Dancing. And the boys that came to the party said, Charles, let's get up and let's act like John Travolta. And let's act like Patrick Swayze. Let's dance and, let's just kind of be geeky as boys can be. So Charles, you're first. Charles stood before them. He lifted his shirt, kind of had a big belly, and he was dancing around and laughing. The 2 boys were taking pictures. One had a video cam, and the other had a cell phone camera. 2 weeks later, there was a website entitled Why Charles is a Loser. And kids could send comments and post comments online of why Charles is a loser. This is called digital bullying. We also have a student who's in 3rd grade. Her name is Mai, and she went to China. And she was gone for actually a week and a half during spring break. And while she was there, one of her little friends in her group sent an email to the other friends and said, while Mai was in China, she contracted a disease called SARS, which is highly contagious. It's a upper respiratory disease. It can be fatal. So you want to stay away from her when she comes back to school. When she went back to school on Monday morning, when kids saw her in the hallway, they literally ran from her. When she went to lunch, when she went to her classroom, the kids had moved all of their desks out of her aisle, and she was the only one in her aisle. And she had no idea what had happened. So a friend had sent this rumor. This is called digital bullying. We have kids that are bullying online and doing some some of these behaviors that would never bully in front of their peers in school. It's a whole different population that's engaging in these behaviors. Our next student was a junior high student and moved to Southern California. She was a 7th grade student. Her first day to school, she was from West Texas. Her first day to school, she wore her Wrangler jeans and a t-shirt, and she walked in a particular area, which is the center area of the school. And she said, "Hi, y'all." And the other girls were, "We see you guys here." And the other girls were wearing OP shorts, and they had on flip-flops, and they had their little sunglasses on their head. And of course she felt out of place. If you hear nothing else from me today, I want you to hear this. The population that's most at risk for being bullied are your new kids. That is why you need to have an ambassador or a mentor or some kind of program that protects this risk factor. In this particular case, Michelle, the 8th grade bully, found this young girl, and she began to make her life a living hell. They took her lunch money, they shoved her, they pulled her hair, they wrote horrible notes and put them in her locker. They also would take her gym clothes, and she would get a cut in PE. And this Michelle had 9 different girls that were part of her group. This young girl would hide out in the restrooms during break, during lunch, and she would stand on the toilet in order not to be found, but they still found her. She began to have nightmares, and she didn't talk to her parents because she had this belief system that many of our kids have that are being victimized. I must be doing something wrong, or this would happen to me. And the second belief system that she had is, I don't want to tell anybody because maybe they won't believe me. And she didn't tell her parents because her parents were arguing all the time, and she didn't want to bother them. This continued until her hero showed up, and his name was Mr. Peralta. He observed the bullying in the main corridor happening, and he walked up and stepped in the middle, and he protected the victim from the bully, and he blocked eye contact. And this is what he told the person being victimized. I want you to go to my room 103. I will talk to you later. He did not ask what had happened. He saw the interaction. Then when she left, he turned around and he took the bully and the bystanders to the office. When he went back to talk to the child being victimized, he said, "From now on, I'm going to be your safe person at this school. If you feel harassed at our school, I need you to come to my classroom and we'll have a safe place to sit. I will be here for you." The reason I share this story is it's my story. And what happened for me is I decided that I wanted to go and be a teacher to stop bullying because of this one man who intervened in my life. Not only did I teach for many years, but I began to develop programs for bullying prevention. So what I share with you today is going to be what works in bullying prevention. There's a lot of things out there that don't work. So I want to share with you some strategies that work. So we're going to start out. Here's what I want you to do. In your packet, I think it's the 6th sheet, there's a quiz called the Bullying